But enough about what I like. I know something that you were a big fan back of the day, that is The Matrix, and we do
Yes.
learn a couple of things, at least I learned from IGN.com.
Hmm.
Number one, it is going to be called The Matrix Resurrections.
Hmm.
Any thoughts to what that implies at all, or
So it is a sequel because there was toss-ups and before, like we have young Morpheus. Is it a prequel? Is it a spin-off? Like what's going to happen? But and I'm waiting for it. But at CinemaCon, where we got that lovely, lovely Spider-Man trailer that we're going to be talking about soon, WB actually showed the first trailer for Matrix, which, by the way, guys, both of these movies come out literally in 3.5 months. So it's really getting close, and we
yeah,
have no fucking footage until
yeah,
this happens. But
Jay's loving it.
from what, right, from what I
Yeah,
got out of
no
the
more footage.
trailer
Want to see it in the
was
theaters.
during the beginning of the trailer, Neo is John Wick style, beard, long hair, and he's talking to a psychiatrist who's played by Neil Patrick Harris
Mm,
about these dreams.
Doogie
And these
Howser.
dreams are what happened in the original trilogy. But they're doping him up with he has to take 2 blue pills a day
Two blue
so he
pills.
stops forgetting. And then they said what happens is somehow he comes across Trinity and there's a spark like, whoa,
Mm,
we're not supposed to be here, guys. And Morpheus is introduced as a younger, which we don't know how that happened. I thought they were going to take the Matrix video game where Morpheus actually got murdered trying to resurrect Neo, but it looks like somehow we're taking maybe a new timeline where he actually remembers the previous Neo. So I'm not sure where they're taking this with the whole young Morpheus, but basically after that they do show him in the pods all clean shaven, the
mm,
typical, and
yeah.
then they go that Smith is still rumored not to be in the movie, so there's an all new like master agent, and they said that the martial arts in this look insane because of how like in fit that he was for John Wick and how he stays that way. He
Yeah.
looks like he's adapting to the training a lot better than originally. So we're going to get some smooth John Wick type like action, but martial arts form.
Mm.
Um, my theory with the resurrection is I think it is going to be a new timeline where the agreement between the humans and machines was broken one way or another, and but somehow Neo remembers the previous version of himself. So with Morpheus being younger, it's like Neo can find him instead.
Mm.
Because they did mention that they did a throwback to an iconic scene, which is where Morpheus takes on Neo in the dojo.
Okay, I remember that, of course.
Neo fucks him up and says, "You don't know who I really am,"
Ooh.
and like walks out. So I'm curious to see what they're doing with this.
Okay.
Yeah, that does sound dope. I fuck with the Matrix.
The other thing we
So
learn in this article, of course, as we all know, the Wachowski sisters, they were the ones that, of course, did the original Matrix trilogy. Only one of them is returning. Lily Wachowski is not going to return.
it's Lana, I believe, isn't it?
What?
That's doing the Lana was the one that
Yes.
stayed and actually did it.
Yes, yes. And Lily, of course, the one that is not, basically just saying it's kind of a tumultuous time in her life when she was doing that, and she just don't have really any volition to go back to do what
Mhm.
she already did. So Lana
Um,
is doing this solo.
yeah, and if you guys, if just for those listening that aren't familiar, kind of branch out and explain because I've seen a in-depth interview. For those that are familiar, it originally was the Wachowski brothers, and there have been long rumors that the Matrix, not only the mythology, but it was also kind of based off of internal conflicts they were dealing in their male bodies.
Hmm.
And during the interview, Lily basically said like that's when that she was dealing with the biggest internal struggles with herself. So going back to a franchise that she holds dear is still like ripping the band-aid off of wounds that aren't fully healed from then, and she's not interested in doing that.
Man, that's fair enough.
Yep. Yep. Indeed. Certainly understand.
I'm just glad at least they're like involved.
Sure.
Because there's for rumors WB could have easily just put some, and no, like keep it with the people that made it, and
They
keep
could have
going.
taken John Wick footage and just CGI'd, call it, slap Matrix 4 on it.
Oh my god.
But cool. I mean, it sounds like if they write it correctly, then we could be back in it. Because at least for me, like, okay, the first Matrix comes out, okay, this is cool. Second Matrix comes out, okay, this is cool, I'm in it. And then the third Matrix just kind of took you out, and it really was a good story. It really was a
Mhm.
good mythos they were building. It's just that third movie just kind of took me out of it. So if we could go back in there and make it right, scrub it up, then all right, I'm certainly in too.
I think I've asked you this before, but have you seen Animatrix?
I have not seen Animatrix, no.
The
Watch it.
reason why a lot of people don't get, I mean, when you, so the thing about the Matrix is telling like three different stories at the same time. It's telling a sci-fi story.
Mm-hmm.
It's telling a psychological story, like as a metaphor. Then even within that metaphor, with with the sci-fi stuff, it's telling another metaphoric story. So uh the Animatrix like videos to watch, or
I may
think
have
it was
watched it actually, to be honest with you. But I'm
damn
sorry,
it,
go
what's
ahead.
it called, like Renaissance of the Machines or some shit like that, I can't remember.
Are you talking about the
um
one that actually shows how this all happened, the
yeah,
storm and all? Yeah.
right. So that it's hard to understand the third movie if you haven't watched that and kind of contextualize what the sci-fi part of the Matrix is. And so like,
Mhm.
there's a war. The reason why the machines and the humans are fighting each other is because the AI became sentient, and the humans were relying on AI, and the AI wanted their own sovereignty, and then that came with war, obviously. And then the reason why uh, the the sky is so dark. I mean, they hint at it. I believe it's in the first movie. Maybe it was the second, but
They hinted at
they
it a
hint at it.
little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, that the humans did this, but what they did was they figured that if they took out the
Block the
sun, since
sun,
the
yeah.
humans were I mean the machines were solar powered, that they would cease to exist. But then the machines decided to use the humans as batteries,
Right.
in order to
It really
maintain
is worth
their power.
watching, T, if you haven't.
Yeah.
Like,
So
it's awesome.
the third movie is hard to connect with if you don't understand what it is they're actually fighting. You know what I mean? Like, and why. And that is the third movie, it brings that whole little animatrix, little clip, movie clips, or short stories or whatever, brings that together to the whole movie, and it makes me actually, I kind of like the third one more than the second one. The second one I didn't really like too much. I mean, it was cool with the Dragon Ball Z, kind of fighting style, whatever,
Exactly.
whatever.
See, you get it. That's why.
But outside of that, the second movie was kind of stupid, story wise. When you contextualize,
Sure. No, I wasn't super into the story. You're right. It was
First
it was
one
just
is
it
people
was
still
just
in
that's
action at that
monochromatic
point.
clothing fighting. It was
Right.
cool.
It was
Flying
necessary.
around.
It was a necessary movie.
Mhm.
But I didn't really like that one. So the third one, even though it's kind of not as matrixy as the others, makes a lot more sense as far as the story goes when you put that little bit of lore into it.
honestly, now that I'm thinking of it, because the first does a real good job kind of creating the ground level, introducing you into the mythos. And then now thinking about it, Jay, you're correct, because you watch the Animatrix, you see the war, basically the cycle, humans build machines, rely on machines, machines want to be free, humans do what humans do. That ain't going down. then we do something that basically backfires to they cause where they rely on us. And then you go to the third movie where while we're trying to figure out who's going to win this war, you have Smith now overpowering everybody, and they have to like basically together when Neo jacks in and goes, "You're the only buddy that can save everything." Like, so yeah, now thinking about that, I didn't even put two and two together. Like that's
Let's
It's
see.
crazy.
Matrix
not-
is
I
still
was
deep.
the fuck yeah, like
it's really deep.
Love it. All right. Well, we're going to get a fourth one. I'm excited now. I'm excited. Omega Level Nerd D Square here. I hope you enjoyed this little excerpt from our show, the Omega Level Nerds podcast. I really do appreciate you checking us out. If you like what you watched today, then please check us out. There is the link to the whole entire show, over an hour's worth of some nerdy goodness for you. So definitely hope you check it out. Well, thank you very much. As always, peace and love. We'll talk to you again soon.